All right, today I'm going to show you guys how to do the NorCal mod. We're going to take off your fender liner and your fender flares if you got them. To do this NorCal mod, usually what people do is they cut this piece and then cut that piece down at an angle and then just take a hammer and flatten all this out so it clearances all this. What we're going to do instead is cut an angle right here and then cut this bottom piece out. So this triangular piece will come out, and then we'll shorten from here down to the bottom here, and then angle this down to that same point where it intersects. So if you have a welder, you can weld this back in and have a, preserve a OEM finish on that. So that's what we're gonna do. Start by scribing a line from this nutsert down to this corner, and then cut away that first layer of metal. All right, once you cut that clean, you're gonna take your angle grinder and cut from this point all the way to that lip next. One thing to note is I wet everything down so that way when it's throwing sparks, it doesn't catch anything on fire, namely this sound deadening. All right, once you've cut that bottom line and not hopefully let your angle grinder explode on you and send shrapnel into that, you could take a pair of pliers and just keep wiggling it back and forth. All right, once you've got it to this point, what I do is I take an angle grinder and notch this down in the angle that you desire, and then take a Sawzall with a really sharp new blade and cut it straight down at an angle basically to this point. So once you cut that free, you should have plenty of clearance up to that hole back there. Next thing to do is to take a scribe and scribe from this point back to that point, basically butting up against that bottom joint. And then what we'll do from there is take this cut off and weld it flush with that freshly cut joint. So you're really gaining about 3/4 of an inch of clearance right there, all while maintaining a OEM look. So once you got your scribed line on there, you're gonna want to clearance this back just a little bit, because now it'll match up with that plane. All right, from here, hopefully you can begin to see how this is all gonna play out. Gonna go something like this once you weld that piece back in. So, all right, the next step is to clean up all the edges, get it ready for welding. Just prep all the edges, clean them up, straighten them out. You know, as you can see, I got that pretty straight, and this is gonna essentially butt up against there like that. And then you can hammer everything flat as you go, tack it all in place, and then yeah, this is essentially how it's gonna go. All right, to prepare it for welding once more, grind up all your edges, make it all bare to where it butts up to each other, and then hit each inside edge with weld through primer. All right, so now this is the part where you butt it up. What I'm gonna do is start with a tack up here, maybe put one right there, and then hit this with a hammer to get over and down, and then finish weld everything so it all looks clean. All right, got one tack there, one tack down there. I'm gonna put a tack over here now that I've flattened that out, and then there's one little gap here, but I don't think that'll be a problem filling in. And then I'll come in here and weld everything up down there, and then actually cut right about here with the angle grinder, because there's no need for this back piece. I'm gonna just lop that off. All right, here's the welded product. You know, not the best welder in the world, but anyone's a good welder with a grinder. So Gonna hit the ties with the grinder, flap disc, cut this off right here. Ow, that's hot. So from that angle down to there, we're gonna lop that off and then smooth everything out, paint it, and then put everything back together. All right, once you're done grinding all your booger welds down, you should have something like this. Looks pretty good. Next step is to paint everything, so stay tuned for that. Got your primer down. Next update will be of the final coat. And just like that, you've got yourself an almost OEM NorCal mod.